Dreamers respond in slightly unconventional fashion, ET, but it looks like they're ticking all the boxes we need them to.
No, for sure. I think they're really getting themselves in a pretty nice spot across the board. Of course, don't want to scoff at Wildcard's heroes too much. They've got
Hmm.
three of the best in the game.
Suffering from
They do just kind of have to
success.
navigate what they want to do because, again, the strength from Dreamers lanes are really scary. It's where I think for Arc, do you want to send his TB right away? Would you like to look at a hero like the Morphling, which is kind of your classic versus the Visage, where you just do so much physical damage, and as soon as that Visage gets left by the Tiny, then you're just kind of happy with the situation. It's where not too many teams really like the Morphling versus the Lena anymore, where in times of past, I think it's definitely been a more popular choice. But versus Lena, you've got two options. You either dive everything on top of her, or you try to deal with her at arm's length, which is almost never a good idea. So that's what they go for here with the NP. A hero that, of course, can just dogpile, but also gets Wildcard very active early on onto those early objectives.
Hmm. Definitely plays nicely with the Hoodwink and the Tusk, so if you're looking for those early ganks to build yourself the momentum, they've got a nice way to do so, and then also some nice ways of just pushing through your towers if Dreamers aren't diligent on the defense. So they're looking all right. Now, if you're Dreamers, though, you start looking, I guess, to the middle lane. There's still the potential for the Tusk to maybe get spotted or swapped up into that role, but if that happens, are there any supports left in the pool that Dreamers care about more than taking other mid bans?
I'm trying to think, and of course, it's hard to say. And looking at what they're valuing,
Yeah.
okay, I guess Wildcard are saying that it's going to be it could be a 5 or a 4 Hoodwink, but same with the Tusk. I think this is where Samson would probably take up the Hoodwink, and then you just kind of, even though Hoodwink feels like a flea hero, much more like a flea hero, but
Yeah.
I think Tusk DP is a much stronger lane, so you're gonna kind of have to settle here or there. But it's hard to say. Maybe as well they decide to player wise make it a Samson Tusk, and then Flea goes on the Hoodwink, and then lanes with the Nature's Prophet because you got a little bit of a combo there with the Bushwhack and the Sprout. It's hard to say. And actually, Dreamers decide to split the bans, okay?
Hmm.
Because there is still that possibility that the DP just goes mid. It's much more easy to call out, I think, that the Nature's Prophet is going to be your carry, and then Hoodwink Tusk just sounds like the support duo, even though Wildcard still maintain a crazy amount of flexibility with their last pick.
Yeah. Got a lot they can work with here, and the Dreamers just had to take their best shot at it. Meanwhile, for Wildcard, they follow up the Invoker band with the Puck, so they are pretty keyed in on that middle lane themselves, and we'll see what Dreamers look to do. Do they put the Lena the 1? Can they run the Tiny mid? Do they feel confident in that? Because if they don't, well, I don't know. The Spirits are still untouched, right? Technically speaking, if they're looking to pick up some sort of mid option, but the pool has been thinned out a little bit.
Yeah, and it's hard to say because, of course, Jamari on Dreamers, do you want to just give him a simple pick like his Void Spirit, which is probably one of his best heroes, or you throw him an Ember? Either honestly feel probably good enough in the situation, but whatever they go for, it needs to stack up versus the Death Prophet at least. If they get directly countered, what can you do? It's where Wildcard also kind of have a pocket Huskar pick if they really wanted to go for something like that and just completely shut out Jamari from the game. But I think this is where a ranged hero would be simplest for Dreamers. And they do decide to
Okay.
risk it with the Ember, so if Wildcard really wanted to be mean, they would just pick Huskar right now, throw away the rest of the draft a little bit, but make sure the Ember Spirit gets no game. But I hope they don't do that. I hope they give Jamari a little bit of a game here, because it is, again, kind of throwing the rest of the draft to the wind. You're just purely looking at the 1v1, but now it is up to Bobatich. What you're going to play? And they
Ooh.
go for the other direct counter, which is also not very pretty for the Ember. But the last time we saw Ember versus OD, the Ember did solo kill him. Mr. RCY, I still remember that. I still remember that dirty game played
Yeah.
by him, but we'll see if Jamar can have a repeat performance.
That was a rough time for the OD, too, because it wasn't just RCY sort of outplaying him, then he just didn't get to contribute much to the fights at all, so for Bobatich, hopefully we don't see a sort of repeat there. In the meantime, Dreamers will put Adrian on the Lena, so it is going to be that carry play for them. Looks like offlane Visage and the Sven Tiny support duo, so largely what we expected out of them.
Yeah, I think we'll see. Should be a pretty stable, again, We said this up until the Ember Spirit. Dreamer side lanes are fantastic. I think the mid lane is
Mhm.
going to be the one problem area for them. But Sven and Tiny are both very capable rune securers. So when it comes down to fighting the OD, as long as the supports get active around 2, 4, 6, 8, it's going to feel like I think this Ember is going to have a rune in his bottle. And I think that's where Wildcard have to finagle it a little bit harder there with their supports. It just doesn't feel quite as free. But that's where a lot of this kind of mid-early game is going to pan out. But again, another carry Nature's Prophet, offlane DP, Wildcard are going to be looking to push that envelope, not give this Lina any time to farm, because if they do, this game gets really difficult really quickly. Lina is still the better carry, is the only real carry in this game. It's where I think if you give Dreamers too much time, the game gets drastically more difficult for Wildcard.
Yeah, the shift to the carry role on the Lina has come about for very, very clear and inarguable reasons. So Adrian's going to look to hit his power spike and really just kind of be the engine driving his team. So, well, he's not going to get to be the engine immediately because we do have a little bit of a pause here. Looks like a DC on the Dreamers side. So hopefully we get a quick reconnect and we can sort of well, get this game underway, see just who lanes where. Because that was something about the wildcard side we were sort of talking about. You ended up with the Hoodwink and the Tusk, who are both kind of position 4 heroes, so which of the two are you going to want to actually lane where, right? Versus Death Prophet or Nature's Prophet.
Yeah, and I think probably the easy way is what they're doing. And of course, this might make Sunlight's lane a little bit more difficult because Flea could unironically struggle to make trades happen versus the Sven. But it also just kind of makes sense like this. Samson also already has a stick pre-bot. So
Mm.
kind of clearly says that he's going to be laning versus the Visage because that spam is going to be coming out from the Soul Assumption, as it always does. That probably makes just a little bit more sense as to tell where the Tusk is going. But we'll see. It'll be fine. Again, I think the only struggle would be with the Hoodwink trading into this Sven, but otherwise, the Corys are more or less unaffected.
Mm-hmm. Players are exchanging some words here as they wait for that reconnect. So, saving USEs. Nice. But yeah, Wildcard have some options, but as you pointed out, looking like, well, at least the players obviously know where they're going here. So, see how it plays out. It's still the Ember who's DC'd at this point, so can't exactly go any further forward without your mid laner at this point.
Oh boy.
No, and just one of those slow reconnects. We are sadly, I think, 4 out of 5 of these games so far in BTS Pro Series have been paused at the beginning, but it's game 1. Everybody's got to make sure they're all 100% ready before the game starts. Don't want to knock them too hard for it, but it's a little bit boring.
Mm-hmm.
Starting item wise, really the only thing to note is Adrian's got his clawing blade as opposed to the 3-branch start that everybody else is popularized just because he's playing Dire. Otherwise, it's pretty much as basic as it could get.
All right, Flea. What's the pause penalty? Still quite a bit of time before we can really talk about that, but I do want to ask you for the Ember Spirit laning up against the OD. In terms of the skill build, right? A lot of the time we see the Ember just try to avoid Flame Guard, go for the maximum sort of damage and aggression with the Slight and the Searing Chains. Does Jamari change that up here against the OD?
Honestly, that was the most interesting aspect of RCY's Ember build because in his game, he went 3-2-0, which is very odd for an Ember Spirit, but I think honestly it's an interesting answer because of course if you get Flame Guard, as soon as you pop it, you get Astral, the OD walks away from you, you might be able to get a few assets here or there, but it doesn't end up securing you anything. And I think Jamari going for more points in that Searing Chains would just be better. I think it would give you more kill potential. I think it would help you set up more. But again, that also comes, I think, large in part from both of his supports really playing up on this OD and ensuring that Bombitich doesn't get too much space with runes, doesn't get bullied off. Because I think Ember could get most of the runes early on here He's just going to need a little bit of help from the boys.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see just how much he emulates that skill build we saw out of RCY, because the build worked, but also RCY is very, very good at what he does. So, you know, not just going to be as simple as copying what the skill build was and having the same success, but as you said, we'll see the fights for the rune. We'll see just how heavy those rotations are, because both sides have some supports that can rotate in. Maybe 555 here on the Sven's kind of the slowest guy out of that quartet of supports, so might need to TP instead of just walking, but I anticipate a lot of extra bodies in this middle lane.
Yeah, and okay. Getting closer to the bounty run. Still a lot of posturing from Dreamers. Of course, you get Tree Grab level 1 for the denying, for the trading, so he's going to have to work for the soul assumptions just a little bit more, and without the Sven able to connect, that's going to simmer down on that fight. But the fight in the river is only starting, and just a little bit of a bully action and a lot of runes for Wildcard.
Solid start for them, grabbing a couple of runes there. 3 out of 4 ain't bad at all, and oh, we'll get this landing stage underway. They're going to send the Nature's Prophet and the Tusk down bot, as you were sort of pointing out earlier with the stick pickup, so, well, honestly, it does not matter that much, right? Regardless of whether it's the Tusk in this lane or the Hoodwink, there's still aggressive potential if somebody steps out of line.
Yep, it's especially once Dreamers hit level 2, you've got the Avalanche, then this lane gets quite scary, though Drakeel doesn't want to get trapped here by the trees, and he'll narrowly be able to walk away, but the damage is just there. Tag team level 1, a spell that usually Tusks don't get, but in this situation, just made it work.
Yeah. Kind of, not what we were expecting, not what you normally see, but Samson says, hey, I got the damage, or I think we've got the damage, and he was very much correct, so Dracula gets taken down. ZXCA is getting a little bit hit up here, but with his boots, he is not only able to maintain the aggro, but get himself out from under the aggression, so okay, didn't quite get the full pull off. The ranged creep was forced back, but still doing as much as he can in this lane.
Well, and even though Wildcard are going to lose out on the creep, he did have to take it under tower, so eventually all of this will just end up pushing into the NP, who is already getting a bit of an XP advantage.
Dark is just minding his own business, playing a PvE game right now, so well, exactly what they want. The only concern will be if the Tusk is maybe left alone for too long, he could get pressured, but 700 HP, just going for pulls, not being too greedy at this point. Doesn't seem like there's a whole lot that Dreamers can do to punish it, so solid start on one half of the map. Meanwhile, looking over to the other, we can see Sunlight and Flea were able to put a little bit of hurt onto the Sven here. Even with the Warcry giving him that extra armor, if he gets hit up, it's not a crazy amount of burst damage, right? But it's going to chunk him down a bit.
Yeah, it's where, unfortunately for him, being the only melee hero in this lane, it just means he's going to eat all of the ire of these heroes. Anytime he tries to walk up, do his job, it's just going to kind of suck for him. But they do want to make a play pretty soon here. Usually you want to get level 3 on the Lena before you do anything too crazy, just so you can either get max stacks instantly by casting both your spells, or you get another point in Fiery Soul, which scales incredibly per level. But until then, the lane is all the way up, so really Sunlight is the one under zero pressure here.
Yeah. I mean, not a lot of pressure across the side lanes. We did maybe sort of think that that might be the case looking at the draft between the two squads, but over in the middle lane, well, Mari's doing okay, and he has opted for at least 1 point up in the Flame Guard. So not going the full sort of early Searing Chains just yet.
Yeah, just playing as per usual, I think. And he's done a pretty fine job of dodging out Bobatich's orbs whenever he can actually dodge it with the Sleight of Fist. So just closing the distance on the matchup a little bit.
Bobitich hits him with the Astral from the low ground so we can get the D ward off. Nifty little play there for, well, I would say probably the gold more than the vision right now. Not really sure they care too much about that over maybe the next, or until the next couple of minutes. Meanwhile, up top, Flea got himself into a little bit of trouble. Gets stunned up. Maybe if that bushwhack hits, he's able to walk away, but not able to make the connection. Sunlight can't finish the kill onto Adrian either, so now he is remarkably far forward. He's going to get stunned up. No chance to use his stick charges, and oh, I mean, the greed comes out from Wildcard, and Dreamers were right there to punish it.
Yeah, just a sad state of affairs, and with the small camp open, immediately the Sven gets to go for a pull. Adrian going to maintain his 7 stacks, going to try to kill this creep wave to the tower, and then his wave will eventually push out too far for Sunlight to actually just lane here peacefully. It's where they honestly need to start to look for a kill onto the Lena, but Lena is starting to do Lena things, as is kind of expected here. And again, keeping those 7 stacks, he might look for another play. Meanwhile, bottom though, another kill, more tag team, more trees, more hurt.
Yep, still no point in the snowball even, but they haven't needed it so far, so well played from that bot lane duo. Meanwhile, mid, Babatich is very low on HP. Has to be careful. Jamari, the Sleight of Fist is coming back up. Playing a very dangerous game here, but with the Astral, he should be able to maintain that separation, get himself away safely. His teammate, though, not nearly as safe up top. Flea gets taken down. Sunlight is trying to trade out for Adrian, though, and this time the trade actually does work in their favor, so well, that is what they wanted the first time around, and if they can make that play happen repeatedly, all will be well for them in this lane.
No, definitely, it's also where the closer we get to that exorcism, just popping it and then forcing the Lena out of the lane. That's the ideal here, but it's nice. Get the little revenge kill. It flips the other side as well for Laguna. As soon as Adrian has that, then Sunlight needs to be extremely careful, but we're going to be in a little bit of a lull in between the aggression, as there was a TP mid, but didn't end up doing very much. Babatich, and here's that rotation on the 6-minute runes. You know, this is a battle, an Astral, maybe a Stormhammer, but rune doesn't even spawn here. And what a cut!
Cut it
Killed
down.
the bushwhack.
Babatich has no backup now, and he's going to get taken down. That's some impressive stuff. Jamari cuts the tree, finds the kill, gets the rune. Perfect play, and now, yeah, what is going on here? A lot of bodies under the tower. They're looking to punish Ark. They've got him stunned up. Here comes that hasted Ember Spirit. They're going to be able to lock it down, and I think they still suspect that the Tusk is hiding. Yep, they see him. They're going to make the jump. Can Jamari get another kill? No. ZXCA kind of snipes it, but all's well that ends well. They get the kills. They hit the rune. Everything comes up Dreamer's way.
Yeah, and even though all of that has the cart hitting that tier 1 tower, it does still eat a ton of damage. Well, it's the tower you don't really care all too much about. You don't get any damage on the Lena's tower, you don't get any damage mid, and you end up losing your duo. Really could be a whole lot worse for Dreamers. I think they'll take that damage on the tower instead. And now I think we're going to have to wait for Ark to be level 6 before we hear or see anything else from that Nature's Prophet, even though back bottom, well, they're trying again, but this time gets away a little bit, gets some more distance, but great Sprout. Can't get out with the Quelling Blade. Does he die? Barely not.
Oh boy. Treants are still chasing after him, but it looks like he should be okay. About 30 HP remaining. Meanwhile, further down the lane, Samson's able to walk away here as well, so a fair bit of action. Nobody goes down, however, but I suppose if you're Dracul, you are going to be out of lane for a little bit, so that creates more space for Ark to work with, but oh, what is this? Avatos coming in. They're looking for Samson. They hit him up with a stun. That is a very nice Sprout, though, from Ark, creating the separation, and they're actually going to try to turn. There's the snowball in, hitting up onto 2. ZXCA gets taken down, and now 555, where do you want to go? He's trying to buy time, hoping to get Jamari into the fight, and well, that goes exactly according to plan. Jumps in, free and easy kill. Do not believe they want Ark here as well. That would be a tough one. And they're not even going to get the opportunity. The Nature's Prophet will simply TP away.
It's just that free. And now, of course, with the Wrath of Nature, able to just start farming a little bit quicker. And we're seeing a slightly different build from that Nature's Prophet. As Adrian, again, the cut! Everybody's got a Clawing Blade because there's an NP, but I think he might be dead to rights here. And yeah, simple as that. Doesn't chance it at all. Doesn't have to wait for another Astral either. Babatich just has enough damage. But again, yeah, Ark is just going for an Ags Rush as opposed to the typical Gleipnir. Just wanting that early team fight capability as opposed to, again, what Gleipnir can provide. Also very decent team fight capability, but is just a little bit more expensive and a little bit harder, I guess. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's just an Ags.
Well, mass TP is down to the bottom lane. Dreamers did a really spectacular job of splitting. I think 555 is the only person who's going to die here. The problem is, yeah, we come back to that other point before, the damage on the tower. At the time, it was an okay trade-off. Now, well, now they end up losing the tier 1, but that could have been a lot worse, considering, what was that, 3 TPs into the lane, 1 hero already in the lane, so a hefty commitment out of Wildcard, and Dreamers are able to avoid a larger fight that could have cost them.
Yeah, they end up walking that one out, and, you know, it could be a worse loss, but again, the tower that doesn't matter, only matters if they don't get a good push going, but mid have a toss. They're kind of running out of damage, though. Bobatich, big stick, big fairy fire, a little bit more, and yeah, they do get him. Didn't get the Asher off in time, but then, back bottom, they kill with that trio that just straight up didn't leave, and without the tower being there, and with them being preoccupied with the OD kill, nothing they could have done for that Visage.
At least they're able to sort of turn it into a trade-off, so they don't walk away empty-handed, but, well, Drakiel is not really having the greatest of times here, right? Initially, the laning stage wasn't too bad for him, but he's been picked off a couple of times. His net worth is the lowest among the cores, so they're going to need to maybe give him a little bit of time to catch back up here in the next couple of minutes.
They certainly will, as well as now, for second daytime, another exorcism, cart mid. Sunlight's looking for it. Doesn't have his mech just yet, but it's coming on the courier. So they really want to keep this aggression going. Unfortunately, his creep wave will die, but that's where the NP comes in. Summon some trees, and this is a all but impossible base defense, and I think Tiny is level 6. It's a little bit tankier, but it's just too much damage.
He's certainly given it a good fight, but as you said, too much damage. Once Bobatich sort of gets him with the Tumbler's Toy push, there's not much to be done there. So tower falls, ZXCA goes down, and this is where Wildcard's lineup is really going to start to try and snowball this out. Yes, they did just use Exos, so that's going to be on cooldown for about 2 minutes, but Exorcism is the battering ram, right? It's the guaranteed push. In between, they can still make plays happen and can still try to pursue those other objectives.
Yeah, they will, and they do scout out this ancient stack and actually do just block it up immediately. One that isn't going to be scouted out, but Samson is also in no man's land, getting stunned up by Visage Birds. Still a very difficult kill, one that this Sven can only help so much with, but again, they're just buying space right now for their Lina, but with Yodi coming, this is a much larger fight.
No. 555 may just have to be the sacrificial lamb here. That's unfortunate. That was looking pretty good for them at the start. They were able to take out the 2 supports, but then Art comes flying through with the Wrath of Nature, and this is where things start to look rough for them. ZXCA taken down again. Drakiel, I mean, he's doing his best, and the stuns coming out from the familiars, they have been helpful, but now we come back to talking about his low net worth. There isn't a whole lot of damage coming out from the Visage.
No, he barely got his level 6 just a few minutes ago. He was kind of kicking and clawing until he got that, but it just feels like they're unable to really defend. And then back over at top, Jamari lets himself get caught, and that's enough damage. The punch, the bushwhack, the tag team, it's just too much. He goes down in a situation where he was just peacefully farming. He just bottle refilled as well. He just got back from the fountain and then immediately died.
And the tower was even denied by the Treants, so they don't get the full gold. Rough one. And, ooh, okay, Bobatich. He might get caught out here as well. He's going to self-astral, trying to buy time. Sunlight's coming in. Arc is already here. They drop down the silence. They drop down a heal. Bobatich is still walking away. There's the stun out from the Sven, though. So they will finally get their target, but what's it going to cost them? Sunlight, well, hold on a second. Sunlight's getting hit pretty hard. Laguna Blade deployed onto him. He actually ends up going down, so now all of a sudden, Arc is by himself. Wrath of Nature. Damage is there. Will it be enough, though? They take down the Sven. They need to kill Adrian. They do manage to get it, but the cost is just going to be insanely high. As Arc gets picked off, and... okay, Flea... gotta give him his credit, right? He's the assassin, he's the sniper, he gets in there and kills off the Visage, but leaves himself directly in the middle of opposing heroes in the end, so he will fall, and Dreamers, they take a pretty clear-cut win. Looking at the gold, more than 3 times what Wildcard pulled in.
Yeah, and most of that gold ended up in the pocket of the Tiny, who now just has a 14-minute Blink Dagger now, coming out on the Courier. So this bottom base defense might be a little bit more complicated. This is Ark's reveal, though. He does just have the Ags. It's still on CD, though. And I think now maybe ZXCA, unfortunately, loses his life for his teammate. Not too many ways to get out of here. But this was also 4 TPs to the bottom lane. So Dreamers have a whole lot of other map to play around if they need to.
See up top, well, the support Sven, you know, he's getting a little bit of gold sort of shoved into his pockets, so that is something worth keeping an eye on, right? If you could pick up that shard, all of a sudden that Warcry becomes just that little bit more dangerous. You're not just going to be able to sort of dispel it away.
That's also where Adrian, not messing around, but yeah, back bottom, Jamari, just a little bit too far forward.
Not quite the same duo that caught him out last time, but a similar scenario, right? He sees the Tusk onto him, thinks, hey, I can probably slide a fist out of Snowball, and then the secondary lockdown hits him when he's not ready for it.
Yeah, and that's where it's just the first of many, but Ark having his Ags as early as he does just means that he can participate in a lot of these early team fights, and the roots are going to give you enough lockdown for a lot of these kills. It's why Adrian is going for BKB's second item. He's not greeting out for Boots of Travel or the early Gleipnir on Melina. Instead, he's just saying, I need that team fight ability. And, well, there's a blink onto the OD, but no follow-up. And this is so spread from Dreamers.
This is not looking great for them. 555's already dead. ZXA is in some trouble as well. Sunlight's going to chase after him. And he's tanky enough where he can just push this forward. Astral Imprisonment is going to catch him out. And then Samson comes in and punches him into the stratosphere for the kill. So if you're looking for silver linings for Dreamers, that's only your 2 supports who get picked off there, but the downside is that Wildcard make that play with such a little degree of effort, right? I mean, they just kind of casually strolled in and picked off both of your supports and then walked away.
Yeah, and this is where I think for Wildcard, they're probably feeling like using this next EXO on Roche just to get this game going a little bit. I think that could help out maybe Bobatich when it comes to staying in a lot of these long team fights. But they've got Dreamers so far back in their own triangle that I really feel like they could just go for that next forcing play. I think shoving their head at a tier 2 might be a little bit riskier than they should really look for, but they still got quite a few towers they still need to clean up, namely this bottom one. And Flea, well, we'll see. Kind of a hard hero to track down in the trees. Maybe ZXCA gives another try, but nope. Flea's already out of here.
Well, that at least gives them the opportunity to go after this tower. The glyph. Hold on. The glyph won't be refreshed by that. That's a little awkward, but it buys them time to go into Roche, right? They see 3 heroes bot, so they'll make their way over to the pit, knowing fully well that Dreamers can't rotate over.
Yep. Got the tag team, got the EXO, got OD. Very capable Roche killing lineup, but just the first of many here. Yeah, Bobatich will take that Aegis, but this is where, if Dreamers want to, they're probably going to look for a fight after the BKB is here, but they've got a great position, and Samson still low from Roche.
Defensive Astral kept him alive, however, so now he has time to snowball his way in. There's going to be the Sanity's Eclipse doing a hell of a lot of damage. And, well, fight's done. They had a window, they had an opening, but it's just too much, right? I mean, Sanity's Eclipse onto 3 or 4 heroes there didn't immediately finish off too many of them, but it chunks them down to the point where they're just too low to keep going.
Yeah, and you got to see the Wrath of Nature there. As soon as they show just a little bit too long, a ward gets placed, the Wrath comes through, you're rooted for 2 to 3.5 seconds. Does not feel nice. It's where really this power spike is just going to continue to weigh over Dreamers' heads until those BKBs or even just casual dispels are done. It's incredibly obnoxious, and really, nobody is geared up to deal with it yet. They are all in pretty much on their own initiation here, as well as Jamari, unfortunately, just not having much farm to speak of. Just finished his Maelstrom, but we're waiting for a while here. Okay, just got silenced. He's about to get root. Oh, this is so sad, but he's going to get out.
Well, third time's the charm, right? Last 2 attempts were able to pick him off. This time he gets away, but yeah, he needs some sort of defensive item, but he's nowhere close right now. Only got 400 gold in his pocket, so it's going to take a little while, but while they start building up, that's a tier 2 being taken away here. Although they are trying to set up. Yeah, there's going to be the Avatos. They have caught out Sunlight. Do they have the damage to bring him down quickly, though? Oh, no! Oh, the Laguna was there, but the Astral Imprisonment actually makes it so that they don't get the kill initially. Now they double back to finish it off. And they're going to look to set up onto the OD as well. Bobatich, which is second life, has to defensively Astral, but he doesn't have any teammates here to help him. He is just going to go down. Okay. Well, Dreamers needed a play. That certainly counts. Aegis gone, 2 core kills. No casualties on their own side.
No, incredibly clean. Unfortunately, Ark was able to kind of stick himself in a nice tree line and then TP out on his own, but otherwise, massive success. Just were able to catch out heroes that were just a little bit too far forward, and like we saw, great dodge of that Laguna Blade, but at the same time, no BKB to speak of. All he has is the Greaves, and I think just not too many targets to siphon in that situation. But now they do have Exo, and now if they want to, they will go for the Reef engagement, and it looks like it will just work.
ZXCI gets taken down first. Now they're going to move their way onto the Sven, cleaning up the supports as quickly as they can. But does that buy enough time for the cores to get away? Adrian actually stopped to clean up the camp first, but in the end, that's not going to matter. He's still walking his way out. Hold on. No. Samson does throw the ice shards forward, but doesn't really have the willingness to go in, right? He probably could have blinked, tried for a snowball play, but that's maybe going too far.
Yeah, just a little bit too crazy. So instead, they go for the reset, which is very understandable. But now we are going to be stuck waiting, because unfortunately in that situation, if they still have the Aegis, maybe they take another jab at these tier 2 towers, but because they don't, well, their unsuccessful tier 2 push means that it doesn't feel too comfy to hover around this outpost, maybe just farm and then immediately back up. But it's where Wildcard now need their own set of BKBs before they really want to take another fight, or even more defensive items, like Bobatich, who probably doesn't want to buy BKB too early, but doesn't want to buy it too late either as Flea. Well, cost of doing business. He's just too close to a ward. It's Bobatich, though. Hey, buddy.
He's a little greedy, yeah. I don't think he realized just how many heroes were there. Thought maybe he could slip in for an easy kill once the entangle connected from Wrath of Nature, but I mean, no, there were 4 heroes there. Instead, he just walks into his own death, and Dreamers are starting to get something going here. Right? We take a look at the net worth graph, the experience graph. They're both trending in terms of net worth towards even, but experience-wise, Dreamers actually have built up a bit of a lead.
Yeah, and this is also where, unfortunately, well, for Sunlight, there's a Wraith Pack now on Drakeel, there's the Shard on Sven. All of that physical damage is not really going to bleed through anymore, and especially the Wraith Pact, it's just going to cut your damage like old Wraith Pact. It's going to be incredibly difficult for him to actually fight. It's where you would hope that as Nature's Prophet starts to become your carry, your right-click god, but that's where the Axe build, again, kind of slowed him up, stuffed him up. So they're going to have to rely on other means of damage like Bobatich and the Pure that he can do from his Arcane Orb, but even him, he is pretty much reliant on this Axe build where he just looks to get a ton of Astrals off and then pop him.
Oh,
what a bushwhack.
They just blow him up instantly, not even giving Adrian the time to pop his BKB, and now they want more. You talked about the durability, and it is still a factor, but not if the lineup is split up to the degree that they are right now. Dracule's just going to get picked apart. Astral does have a tendency of kind of drawing things out a little bit there, but they find their 3rd kill in the fight. The Tusk even got away. Samson was low, but not able to finish him off, so just when it looked like Dreamers were maybe on the cusp of swinging the advantage their way, Wildcard strike back.
Yep, great picks, solid stuff all around. Buys them time to, again, fix some of the issues that their heroes are currently having, which is great. I think now, if we're Dreamers, honestly, just farming, finishing off at least one big item on the Lena would be nice. Right now, he's got 3 kind of good items, but there's no completed Silver Edge, there's no Gleipnir, there's no Hurricane Pike. It's where it's time for Adrian to make a choice in terms of his item build.
And Daedalus is what's queued up for him at the moment, so Looking to build into more damage. ZXA, meanwhile, has spotted Flea in the jungle. Teammates are coming over. They need the vision for the soul assumption, and they do manage to get it. Wrath of Nature flies in too late, and they get themselves a relatively simple pick there. Ditch. Avo will connect. Look at the Sprout, though, defensively blocking off the vision. Ooh. That is a hell of a play by Arc. ZXCA gets punished, and if you're Dreamers, that's unfortunate, but Tiny sacrificing himself, that's a low sort of cost play to make. Oh, God, Jamari, that's a very not low cost play. He's going in with the BKB, but how much can they do here? They would love to kill on the Bobatich, and they do manage to get it, but now they want more. Arc's in trouble, has to pop his BKB, looking to TP away. Can they take him down in time? No, they can't, but they can get onto Sunlight. Laguna Blade wasn't quite enough, but it looks like the Soul Assumption will connect. They find that kill, they get another up on the high ground as Drakeel collects the triple kill, and well, Jamari with just unshakable confidence in himself and his teammates there, because he jumps into 4 alone with only a BKB to protect, but he knew his teammates were coming.
Yeah, and I think just dropping the ball in that instance, Arc didn't have his ulti, but he had his BKB. But him being a BKB stationary turret isn't really what his build is capable of right now. So it ends up just kind of flopping. And then Dreamers get a bunch of map control. The angle that Thelina was able to find as well just ends up working out and connecting onto the DP. Of course, kills that, even though it's gold in the pocket of Dreamers, doesn't matter all too much here. But the stakes are going to be back in just a moment. As soon as Roche is alive, once a team takes one of those successful fights, it is going to be that second Aegis, and it will be a lot of agency given to said team.
30 seconds away from the Roche respawn at this point in time, so well, as you said, the higher stakes are coming, and well, Dreamers are certainly in a better position to try and deal with it now than they were like just 5 minutes ago, right? 555, I believe, also just got a Force Staff brought out to him, so yeah, you've got a little bit more. Obviously, that doesn't help with his damage in any way, but you're a position 5 Sven. You gave up on your own damage a long time ago. Instead, they're looking for the lockdown. They're looking for the utility. They're looking for the kill onto Samson, but they did not get it as quickly as they wanted, and now they're going to get punished. There's going to be the play in onto the Sven. 555 dropped. I mean, ZXA is kind of posturing like he wants to go back in, but there's really no one to follow it up.
Well, in Wildcard, this is where NP starts to take effect on the map. He just TPs to the side lane. Dreamers can't afford to really go too far away from the pit here, even though they do have the high ground vision, something that Wildcard will certainly look to battle for right now. They don't have their incredible Roche wards, so it's a little bit more difficult for them to play around this area, but Samson also has a smoke primed, so if they want to, they can need to look to catch somebody off guard here. But again, this is where Dreamers are the ones that need to blink. They're the ones that are going to have to deal with Arc. Fortunately for them, they do have the Ember Spirit, who has a Remnant over next to the pit, but this is where all it takes is one initiation, one hero pick, and then suddenly one team is going to force the other's hand.
Trying to be as careful as possible. The Sven is back up in just about 2 seconds here, so he'll quickly TP his way to the outpost, able to regroup with his teammates. He does have God Strength up. I did mention previously, you know, your position 5 Sven, you kind of gave up on your own damage, but God Strength still does help, right? You hit a little bit harder, so we'll see what they can do here, because they did just smoke. They're going to try and commit for something. Samson is not really the target I think they want to hit first, but there's Arc. Can they hit him? No, they can't. BKB shuts it down. Wrath of Nature going to come through. They do get the pushback onto 2 as well, and all of a sudden, this is looking like a bad idea. ZXCA dropped low, trying to get himself away. 4 staffs onto the high ground, but still dropping, and Arc will take him down. But what else can they do here? They pushed onto the other side of the river with Jamari's BKB, but now that BKB is worn off. They did get Sunlight, but they need to get the Ember away. He's able to jump out to a Remnant. And honestly, ET, this is going remarkably well. They're back onto Arc. No BKB anymore. They'll take him down. They take Samson down. Adrian gets all 3 of the kills, and that genuinely looked terrible for them at the start. Instead, it is a clear-cut win. 4 kills for Adrian. I was going to say control of the pit as well, but they're just going straight high ground.
Yeah, no, they know that there's no glyph. This is just a completely free Rax, and the fight took too long, as well as Jamari just being a thorn in Babatich's side. He ended up just solo ulting the BKB to Ember Spirit as opposed to doing any real damage. And then the team whose BKBs are already ticking down, who already got initiated on, they just lose, as well as ZXCA abusing his buyback, just knowing that, okay, I might die. It took a while to get me, and they had to pop a BKB for it. As soon as I'm back into the fight, I'm tiny again. I do it. I win the fight for my team. And while they did get greedy and they did get that Rax, meaning that this might be a Roche fight, they also know there's no Exo. So Dreamers are 100% confident to take this, not to mention a DD spawning for them. That's kind of cheating.
Yeah, double damage Lina is something that really shouldn't be allowed. And here comes Wildcard. They're going to try to contest it anyway, but there's no Sammy's Eclipse. There's no Exorcism. They've just got to fight this under their own power. They are able to take down both of the supports right away, but Babatich goes down. Samson is going to fall as well. Arc needs to fall back.
Oh,
BKB is not available.
again.
And Sunlight's just left holding the bag, stuck in the river and taken down. I mean, they just didn't have the firepower is Arc. Did they spot him? He did, but he didn't actually act in time. So there's a little bit of good news, I suppose, but you could have avoided all of that. Instead, there's an Aegis now up on the Lina. He took the shard for himself as well, and well, there's going to be more pressure applied on your side of the map.
No, it's incredibly unfortunate, and of course, they are getting NP'd a little bit, so they do need to come back and clean their waves, as well as getting the mid-racks isn't the most annoying. Usually side lane barracks and super creep advantages are a little bit more impactful, but as soon as they get these tier 2s, then Dreamers are still the ones in the driver's seat, as well as Adrian picking up his boots of travel, so now he can be the one to push down those lanes incredibly quickly. It just feels like we're running out of gas here a little bit, even though the Sven, solo pushing bottom, set up on by Flea, but Arc, no BKB, stunned, he needs help, like now.
But the only help there is Flea on the Hoodwink, and he's doing his best. Creates a little bit of separation. Arc turns around, hits the Gleipnir, not onto Adrian though, so he's in trouble, but the LSA does not hit. Can he get away? No, he can't. Familiars are in onto him, and well, the danger of pushing with your BKB unavailable, right? You get caught, you don't have any way out, and I mean, Dracula with the Ags upgrade is just an assassin.
Yeah, he's very obnoxious, has a good bit more damage to play with as well, but I think you got your Sven kill, but, you know, at what cost? Worth? Question mark? You know, all the above at this point. And now, look mid, Sunlight getting set up on. Needs a little bit more follow-up, but he's going to try and keep Sunlight stunned, and here we go. The Avatos, the damage, it's so quick.
Just too much to handle, and Sunlight's supposed to be one of the most durable guys you've got on this wildcard lineup. It definitely didn't look like it there. But now he's dead for 50 with no buyback, so well, Adrian kept the wave pushing in bot. They're going to try and go for it. There's no glyph here either. There is no glyph. There will not be a glyph after the tower falls. Samson, that's very aggressive. They set up for the Sandy's Eclipse. Didn't really kill anyone, though. They will burn the Aegis, but I don't know if that's going to be enough. Sammy buying back quickly, but by the time he's back into the fight, Babatich has already been taken down. Buyback from the OD now as well. But they're just getting pushed further and further back, ET, into their own fountain. Fleet hits a big bushwhack onto 3, but the BKB comes out from Adrian. 555 pops the God Strength. They will turn onto the Hoodwink and finish her off. And at this point, I don't really know if they have much of a fight, especially if Babatich goes down again. Defensive Astral's going to keep him alive. Jamaria is actually the one who's dropping a little bit low here, and with the Sharpshooter, they take him down. Okay.
Yeah, I think Dracula's also dead.
Yep. Can he dance his way out? Oh god, Jamari. He buys back, he jumps in, they're going to go for it. Babatich, again, on his buyback as well. He cannot afford to die here. He blinks back towards the fountain. And he will live. Sunlight will not, however. He is going to get sacrificed alongside the Tusk, so I don't know, ET. I mean, at the end of the day, was that all worthwhile? Because that was a push from Dreamers. I don't think that was a push where Dreamers were even thinking about tier 4s or ending the game. That felt like it was all about bottom lane and wildcard. Threw just about everything that they had into a fight that doesn't really get them their full investment back.
Well, and at the end of the day, they were able to kill the Death Prophet as soon as she popped her Exos. That's kind of unfortunate, but Yeah, I felt like they pressed the issue a little bit too much, as well as unfortunately for Jamari respawning with I think 2 remnants to his name. Whoa, Arc.
Um,
Okay, 1v1. He
okay, he
wins.
wins.
He dies.
Wins in quotations there. Yeah, that's
1825.
it's a lot of gold. Honestly,
Oh boy.
that might just be worth his death. I mean, he's gone for a long time, 70 seconds on the sideline, but Alina's dead for even longer. So without Adrian, I don't really think Dreamers are going to look to do much until a time period where the Nature's Prophet's back up anyway.
Yeah, and that's something in the past 2 fights that Ark has been incredibly good at. He's really been abusing that level 20 talent. The Sprout Leash is something that Jamari has to be constantly afraid of, or needs to be near one of his supports with the Force Staff just to break through those trees. But really, I think now it might be time for Dreamers to settle, because with that death on the Lina, they effectively reset the game. Now this ward, it's going to be a little bit of a fight though, without Lina, but the Ember comes in.
There's so much of a split focus here. They are dropping Sunlight low, but he's able to get his Greaves off. He's healing up from his Siphons, but they're still trying to force it. The Snowball from Samson comes in, hitting up onto the Familiars, but either way, it allows space for the Course to get out, or maybe it doesn't. Bobtitch is still going to get hit up by the stun from the Sven. Force Staff pushes him further into the fight, but a defensive Astral is going to keep him up. And Sunlight, look at this man just running distractions as much as possible. That allows Bobtitch to get in for the ult, so they will drop CXCA. That's still just a support kill, and they are running out of gas, running out of abilities. Do they go back in? They do, but I don't know if this is a great idea. Jamari is right in there on the front line. Arc, though, is going to get involved. That allows them to take out 555, but still, we need to see kills on core heroes. It just hasn't happened yet. And it looks like everyone's just kind of backing away. Flea gets picked off, but again, support kill. And that's it. The supports die, the cores all trade damage and then walk away, and the needle doesn't move all that much.
Yeah, all in all, pretty funky situation. Both sides decide to fight without their respective carries, and at the end of the day, you know, you lose Flea, who is dead for an extremely long time, but as soon as the Lina is about to show up to the fight, then the NP has to leave. But I think at the end of the day, Wildcard are the ones that don't have BKBs. They do have Exo, but they don't have a Hoodwink. The Dreamers are just going to do this as 3 at this point, and I don't think Wildcard really have too much to say about this, because the NP can't fight, the OD can't fight. Everything is up to Sunlight at this point to buy space.
Could just try and blink his way in there with the Exo, but the window's already closing. The tier 3's been taken down. The racks are under attack. This would be Megas if they lost it. And Jamari, did he just go in? Kind of.
No.
Yeah. Pushing opposing heroes back. Arc lost most of his HP, so he tries to get back to the fountain, but he's not going to make it. Jamari takes him down, gets himself a double kill. Buybacks are not available. And the Megas have been picked up, so at this point, Wildcard, I just don't think that they really have enough. Bobtitch is doing his best to dance around this, but he has no BK, or excuse me, now he has BKB, but he doesn't have ult. So the damage just isn't going to be there, and he will die on the steps of his own fountain. The GG will be called, and Dreamers are going to take the opening match of this best of 3.
Yeah, and, well, I think really all that can be said about this one is we'll see if Lena's banned come that next draft, because I think it might be deserved, even though I feel like Dreamers had a really good idea coming into this game. I think that they made do with what they had. I love their side lanes. I think Jamari held his own versus the OD, and yet again, that counter pick just didn't seem like the counter pick that teams are valuing it as. Just does not feel like OD is really the answer, has been the answer to a lot of these games, in addition to, I think, OD just hard falling off in general. Just doesn't feel like he has enough in the bank to really make any of these team fights or a lot of the game in general just work out for his teammates. It's where, again, a lot of that activity falls onto the supports, and the supports, I mean, they're outputting, they're doing a lot. Samson and Flea both have great scores with their assists, but just doesn't feel like they get enough of those impactful kills. And then Dreamers get, you know, maybe 1 or 2 too many Aegises for Wildcard to really make it work. Even though, again, kill-wise, I mean, it's 39-42. This is a close game for a portion of it, especially for Arc, but just weren't able to keep their heads down, and eventually they got Lena'd.
Yeah, and as you said, we will be seeing if that Lina just hops back into Phase 1 ban material for the second match, because Adrian played spectacularly on it, right? 6 deaths is maybe slightly higher than what you would want, but that doesn't really matter in the long run. His teams were still taking the fights, pushing objectives. He was dishing out just incredible amounts of damage, scrolling over 40k damage from the Lina, highest mark in the game. So you got absolutely everything you wanted out of the Lina pick, but now it's time for it to go away for the rest of the series.
Yeah, and well, we'll see what pick order shows us, but maybe it's Wildcard's turn for Lena. I don't know. They seemed very confident with the Tusk pick, the Tusk Hoodwink into the Lena, but again, just didn't pan out enough for them. But we'll see.
Game 2 going to be coming your way in just a little bit here, so we will step aside and be back for the start of the Game 2 draft.